What I do is inconsequential. Why I do what I do is I get to shorten people's journeys every day. What I love about our hospitality industry is that it's our mission to make people feel cared for while on their journeys. Together, we'll explore what hospitality means in the built environment, in business, and in our daily lives. I'm Dan Ryan, and this is Defining Hospitality. Today's guest is a designer with a well-rounded background in design, interiors, and custom furniture. He believes that the desire to do good for others is at the core of hospitality. His Gourd project was the 2023 winner of Radical Innovation's Professional Product category. He's a licensed architect. He's the owner and founder of CRÈME, a multidisciplinary design firm in Brooklyn. And he's also a recent HD Award winner for Hotel Public Space Mid-Scale for Kimpton Theta in New York City. And in the same category, he was also nominated for the public space at the Sheraton Kagoshima. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jun Aizaki. Welcome, Jun.
Thank you, Dan.
It's so good to see you. I want everyone to know that I met Jun, I think it was it was a while ago. It was you had just completed the public space for something near the Kimpton Theta, but it was the Eventi Hotel, which was also a Kimpton hotel, I think it's on 6th Avenue and like 29th. And I remember I had done the rooms there, all the furniture in the rooms, and they did the public space. And it was kind of an interesting time when that hotel opened. It was either during or shortly after the financial crisis. It opened, and after the financial crisis, that whole neighborhood changed. So whatever they had done for the public space, it never really like took off, if you will, right? And also the neighborhood changed over time, which further changed it because the whole audience evolved. And then you came in, and I just remember the folks at Kimpton just being so happy with the work that you did to kind of reimagine this amazing space and kind of solve the Rubik's Cube for it to make it work. So I remember meeting you shortly after that. And then we've just become kind of friendly living in New York and seeing each other out and about. And you have a great team. And I'm just super happy that you're here, Jun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. And I do recall, the first times when we met. And yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
And I also think it's really cool that you just won this HD award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
For another Kimpton hotel, kind of right around the corner from that one. So it's like, it's this neat little kind of halo effect there in the midsection of Manhattan. So congrats.
Thanks. Yeah. And that was actually a couple nights ago. And, to be back, and, talking to you, and kind of like creates this like loop, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice to be talking to you in a longer format and not as we're getting off the airplane in Las Vegas airport.
Right.
So I'm appreciating the time that we have together. So before we get into everything, I ask every guest what hospitality means to them, or how do you define it? So Jun, how do you define hospitality?
Sure. Hospitality is well, first of all, it's not something that, like I was planning on, pursuing as a, profession, to be honest. I kind of, stumbled upon it, if I may, during my careers, and really found it, fascinating. And it, actually, I realized that it actually, aligns with what I want to do, after, getting into it, which is, interesting. For me, how do I define it? I do think it's hospitality is really something that you kind of do for others. For me, the part of hospitality that attracts me the most is kind of it's almost like being a problem solver for other people. Like you're doing something, you're providing a service and making, somebody else's life, more, richer or more interesting or more useful or more, practical. And yeah, that aspect is something that I really, really enjoy.
I love the idea of like really doing something or solving a problem for someone
Mm,
else. And because I hear so many different responses for what it means, but at the core, it's really about doing something for others wherever they are. Um, I'm intrigued by the fact that you didn't, also you're not
mhm,
alone in that you didn't choose this kind of avenue for your design vocation and your passion where it's channeled into here.
right,
But so many of the guests, it's actually surprising. I should do a poll. So many of them never thought that they would be here. They just found it, and then I want to say got stuck in it, but getting stuck means like you have no options. But it's like they're drawn to it, and the gravitational pull of it is so strong that they never want to leave.
and
Or if they do, it's at the heart of what they do, and then they'll do other initiatives with their design or whatever their superpower is, but
sure,
always
sure.
come back to hospitality. How did you first find this passion and love for hospitality design?
Well, like after, finishing school, well, I studied architecture in school, first of all. And, I think, like during school, you work on a lot of like imaginative projects, like you come up with like crazy ideas. And I always kind of like thought it was a little like out of touch with the reality. I really wanted to get my hands kind of, dirty and get straight into like making things and a lot of like um things that we were doing in school and also at workplaces in architecture usually had like a longer time span or something that like didn't quite like relate like directly for some reason. And I my first job really in New York was at the Rockwell Group. And like many people in our industry, it's, like I got
It's
my,
a launch pad.
yeah, it's like a launch pad. And I must say, like, I got my, I don't know, I did undergraduate, architecture. And then like I did like graduate Rockwell Group, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, I was there for 5 years. And yeah, like that's where, I worked on my first like restaurant projects. And I don't know, like something just like, hit the right note for me. Being on the job site, I worked under, a designer, he, took me kind of as, like, he was kind of like a mentor to me. And then, yeah, like, you would draw things at work and then like you would go to the web, go to the job site, you see things right in front of you, all the things that you drew, kind of like coming to life. And
Mm.
and then, when that was actually done, you saw people coming to the space and like enjoying the space and you hear the conversation about design, what they think. And I don't know, that whole process of coming up with something, drawing a sketch and then like communicating that to somebody who makes it and then seeing that, like become an actual, like physical, object or space, just sort of like, and then feeling the people's like, the person's reaction actually kind
Mm.
of like close the entire loop for me. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, that's it. That's why I'm doing, like, drawing things on CAD every day and, like staying up late and like, doing this thing that I'm passionate about. But, it doesn't end there, like you actually, get the reward, by, like here, like giving, giving and affecting people's experiences.
Mm.
And I don't know, like something about it just like, made total sense to me.
I'm intrigued by okay, so this is actually interesting
Mhm.
because you said when you were in architecture school, you would come up with these concepts that are kind of out of touch with reality. Um, but then I also feel like when you're working on a new project or you're pushing the envelope of hospitality design or any project, okay, so on in the school era, you have this out of touch with reality, but in many cases, to be forging a new path, which I think you and your team do really well, and I know Rockwell does really well. It's almost like you have to start with, I don't know, something unattainable or maybe not out of touch with reality, but you're starting with this really incredible idea that might be out of touch with reality, but they always, I mean, you're brought back to earth and you're doing it, but everything is always is different, very different, sometimes a little different, but more often than not, it's you're reimagining
Hmm.
things. So how do you start with the out of touch with reality, or like that initial school student idea? Because just getting to know you
Hmm.
and seeing kind of how you look at things and how you approach things, even like the Gourd project, which we can talk about later.
Hmm.
It's like you're always trying to reimagine and think about it, something differently, strikingly different.
Hmm.
Invariably, we're all human going through these environments doing it, but like, how do you come up with that out of touch inspiration that might not be achievable and then bring it back to earth so that everyone can share from it and experience what it's like to be in the space that you work on?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point with school. And, I didn't mean to say, like schoolwork is like just like out of touch and it's something that's not attainable. Like I think every dream is, every vision is actually attainable. I guess, like starting work and starting with hospitality and specifically like a restaurant project, just,
Mm.
you know, actually gave me the sort of realization that yes, things are attainable. Like like, if you have like a vision or like a dream, like if you can dream something up, there's always a way to get there kind of, um, so yeah, how do you, how do you find those? Like for me, if I understand your question, like like those are like they just come during like every day, like, living, like I actually keep like, whenever I have like an idea, like I keep it in my notebook, right? So I have like a whole like sketchbook, like, well, it's actually, I use my iPad a lot now, but
Do you have it with you at all times?
yeah, most of the times, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
You're capturing it, you're sketching it.
yeah, sketching or like I'll just like take notes, so I could just like go back, in my head and like, retrieve whatever idea or like whatever that like spurred that, sort of like inspiration. But um it's almost like, yeah, it's not that I, sit down and like think about, these things. It's just like through, every day, whatever, I see something or like I go to a place and to like a different city or, talk to people and get inspired. And that just kind of like starts to pile up. And
That's amazing because
yeah.
I will say most people, and I'm a hardcore practitioner of getting things done. And the guy who wrote that book, David Allen, was a guest on this podcast, like,
Hmm.
because he's like a guru. I love him. And he changed like his methodology, which you can do in any way with iPad, with a
Hmm.
sketchbook, with anything. The first thing is to capture every single idea that you have, because your brain is not meant to store things. It's meant to take all the different information that's out there
Okay.
and have new, fresh ideas. So
Okay.
if you capture it, then you can review it at some point later, but then you clarify what it is. Like, you might be working on a project. It could be like, I love entrepreneurs also, and you being an entrepreneur and a designer,
Hmm.
because so often than not, we have an idea, and this doesn't go just for architects and designers or entrepreneurs and designers. Is anyone, any idea that we all have, we can always turn it into something. We just have to clarify like what the next step is, what the next action is to make it real. And it is amazing, actually, since you became an entrepreneur, what
Hmm.
kind of inspiration or out of like how did you come around with capturing that idea and like and making CRÈME a reality? Because it was nothing before, it was an idea in your head. Did you
Hmm.
capture that? And what were your first steps in doing that actually? That's a good
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, just, like you said, just doing is one, like no matter how big the step is, like when it came to like starting my company, like I started with like, really, you know, small project, one project, like
Mhm.
I thought of, I used to call whatever I was doing, a collaborative, like even though it was just me, like working from my, you know, sublet and, apartment, but, but really, like I do think that, action, like just doing something, and persistence, like is key. Just, if it doesn't, you know, work once, try it again. If it doesn't work in, one direction, try it from a different, direction.
Mm.
Um, yeah, a lot of, times, people in my studio, just know that I, it's hard for me to take no as an answer, and I think that's true with a lot of, like not just designers, but, a lot of people. And it's just, like if you kind of have like a vision, like you want to, get there, and yeah, you'll somehow figure out, how to do that. That's actually kind of like, how I treat all the ideas that I come up with, or, ideas I have, like I said, it's kind of like all like piling up, but one by one,
Mhm.
like even like the Gourd project is something that, like that was on my like sketchbook for years. And, slowly, I started working on it. Then, yeah. And frankly, like quite frankly, like it's still, a work in progress, and it keeps on like evolving. So,
I want to dig into that one. But before we dig into that one, if you think about that idea of not taking no and reimagining and reconcepting and just keeping looking at things at different
mm,
from different angles, right? That's really what I get when I speak to you, the intellectual you. You're all I just get I don't know what's going on in between your ears, but I get the feeling that there's a lot going on in there. And I feel like you're always curious looking at things. And if we were to go back to that Eventi
mm,
where it opened and the neighborhood was one thing, and then the neighborhood quickly changed and the whole ground floor, it had a really hard time of figuring itself out. But then you somehow solved that Rubik's Cube going on that, not taking no, or
mm.
looking at things from all the different angles. How did you know on that particular project when you got the concept right?
That's a very that's a very interesting question, and I'm really, glad you're asking this, because like there was actually defining kind of like no moment for that project. And if you recall the original hotel plan, the hotel
Mhm.
entrance was actually closer to 30th Street.
Yes.
And there was like a canopy, and yeah, the restaurant was actually where the hotel reception and the lobby is now. So we, initially, like we were asked to actually design the I think it was the restaurant only. That was what we were asked to design. And then we looked at the overall plan and said, wait a minute, you could keep on trying to like put a restaurant here in the middle of the block, but unless, you change the flow, your restaurant's not going to do great. So we convinced the owners to actually flip the restaurant and the front desk or the reception area. So there was kind of like a big switch in the plan. And in order to,
In an operating hotel.
yes, in an operated, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we actually did all the kind of like extra work, and again, like, this is that moment where we, I guess, I didn't ex- accept no for an answer. Instead, like you have to do this, like it's really going to change the dynamics of the whole project. And we were fortunate enough to have somebody that, had the ears to listen to us. And what, really sort of like started as like a really diagrammatic, kind of like a napkin sketch of like, here, if you change this, you're gonna be able to enter the hotel. There's gonna be a space that opens in the back there's actually a public park in the back, and there'll be this
Mhm.
like flow. And and then you get this like restaurant space on the corner that could open up to 8th Avenue of 6th Avenue. And, you get this like fantastic view and, indoor outdoor feel. And it's actually going to, you know, generate traffic on the block, and it's really going to transform. And, yeah, we, like one step up at a time, we actually like presented these like sketches and visuals and,
Actually, that's
yeah, yeah.
that's really interesting because just in hearing you say what you just said, um, you would kind of activate going through in that big park, or not big, but that park
Mhm.
enclosed on the east side of the building. So I said that the neighborhood had changed and it just wasn't like fitting that well. But what you did also helped accelerate the change of that couple block radius area as well, because you created a pathway into this like I don't know, special moment
Mhm.
that's through the hotel on the east side of the building. But it also, I don't even know. It just totally transformed that whole area. I just remember it was like all bead. I got the feeling it was all bead and hat and wig shops all around there. It was kind of changing. And then the whole lobby transformed. And then it just kind of poured gasoline on the evolution
Mm.
of that couple block radius. Right?
Yeah, I think it really did. And in fact, we actually designed the whole entire, facade on the ground floor of that building. So the canopy that you see, all the storefront, and like all the um, fenestration. That's something that like we worked out on, and yeah, like I do think that it really did transform it. Like you said, it kind of like accelerated the whole. We don't take full credit for like what happens in the neighborhood, obviously.
But it was like a symbiotic
Yeah,
growth,
yeah, yeah.
and it all kind of talked to each other. It was actually pretty amazing if I think about it. I'm actually getting, because my office used to be right around the corner, so I just really experienced that whole chain.
Hmm.
I just get a little goosebumps and nostalgia thinking about it. I mean, it was pretty cool. Now, let's just pretend that actually from your experience,
Hmm.
when you started that, just starting as doing a restaurant, right? And then it turned into refenestrating, moving a canopy, you had to punch through, or no, you had to rearrange some things inside so that it would draw you to the outside.
Hmm.
What was like when you were first brought on, what was generally speaking the budget to just do the restaurant? And then for you not taking no for an answer and having an operator that believed in your vision and saw it, like how much did the goalposts move from X original budget to Y finished budget? And then what were the follow-on positive economies of the change that happened for the hotel and the ownership and the management?
Yeah. I would say that that goal, I don't know how many folds, but it did increase, quite a bit for us in terms of like our scope. And it's just hard to like quantify, and also the economic gain, is probably, yeah, uh, you know, uh, yeah, I don't know. I just don't have the tools to like. I wish and
Yeah.
I should research this more and put it on our like website, because that's yeah, numbers talk to people, but yeah, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
numbers, but also okay,
Mhm.
so and I'm sorry for throwing that at
No,
you
no, no.
because
It's
I
okay.
know that
Yeah.
like you probably aren't privy
Mhm.
to it, but I just from foot traffic
Mhm.
and humans spending money, being in there, eating, and I can only imagine that the ROI, the scope, I can only imagine increased by a couple times, I
Mhm.
would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah. That's for sure. Yeah.
And then I would say the ROI also was pretty incredible because, it was just like a magnet pulling
Mhm.
people in. Um, was the ownership or management resistant to your vision at first? And like, how did you help them quote see the light?
Um, you know what? Like, and they were very receptive, and actually, yeah, it's funny we're talking a lot about this project, because I was just there last night, having dinner. I brought some friends in from Japan, and
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, we had a fantastic meal, and Laurent, you know, the Laurent Tourondel, chef owner, was there, and that's just like seeing the space and feeling the vibe and all yeah. Last night was like a fantastic night, in
It was
terms of the
beautiful.
weather, and yeah, yeah, all the doors were open, and that's like the best time to see L'Amico. So, yeah, it just felt great. Then, like after all these years, the restaurant still doing like great. It's such a um, yeah, a testament to the timelessness of the space and the design, I
Yeah.
guess. And yeah, I felt really really good about it. Yeah. So, uh, yeah. But yeah, it went pretty smooth in the beginning, uh, yeah, DLJ Capital, Andy Rifkin, and also, obviously, like, Kimpton, you know, I think people just sort of, aligned with the vision and went along with it.
Well, because I think it's a very unusual story now that we're talking about it, because most of the time, for most of the hotel projects I work on, they're all about ROI and they have a capital plan and, it'll come down usually from up high within the organizations, the owner, usually ownership, sometimes management. And it, goes through, it gets socialized through committees and everything else, and then they go. But it's not very often you hear about the designer or the architect changing the hearts and minds of everything, especially in an already existing and operating building.
Mm,
Like maybe they'll get brought in, but you were brought in to do one thing and then totally reimagine this whole block. It's just a very unusual story. And if there was a designer or architect out there that saw a vision
mm.
that maybe the clients didn't see, do you have any advice for them about how to like take a pause and say, have you considered XYZ,
Mm,
and like
mm.
get them to accept your vision on a major thing?
Right. How to do that? I'm not sure. I think it's also, the people involved, and
Mm,
the structure of the organization, of the ownership. I mean, I tend to think that when there's like a strong, person who also share, like who tends to understand the vision, that's always, easier, like.
did you
Mhm.
ask for any, as you were kind of concepting just the restaurant and you had this kind of light bulb moment, if you will, did you ever like ask permission to, hey, if I see something different, or was it ever given to you to say, hey, if you see something different or have an idea, we're open to it? Maybe that's maybe the mindset of the client, but what was the light bulb moment, I guess,
Yeah.
for that particular challenge? Because it's like, I'm going to put pictures of, I'll
Yeah.
get befores and afters because it's just crazy, and
Mhm,
we'll put it in the
mhm,
YouTube part of this, but it's really a dramatic change of an
mhm.
operating building that, and to hear that it was a surprise is really surprising to me. So I just I want to dig into it more. And I know it's from a while ago,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
just seems like a really awesome example of getting aligned on vision and doing it. So what was like the light bulb moment for you?
I think the light bulb moment, like, actually, like, in fact, this is kind of like an exercise that we, I, as a studio, like owner leader, encourage our staff to always, do, which is really to like think outside the box. And,
Mm,
it's basically, when you're given like parameters, like I always encourage people to like look even beyond that parameter. It's kind of like a habit that I don't know. Like, I guess I think, that's kind of at the core of problem solving too, like
mhm,
you have to look beyond what other people are kind of, like seeing as the problem, or
mm.
or the set of, parameters. And, I don't know where I got that habit from, maybe school, or I don't know, maybe, maybe when I was younger, but anyway, that's to have that open mind, I think is so important. So yeah, like that, it's just like something that we always do in our studio to, like kind of like go beyond what you're asked to do. And I think, yeah, sometimes like we get annoyed for, doing that. And sometimes, we have situations like this project, where, we're able to like really, really like, contribute. And
Mm.
yeah. And then from there, like sometimes it just becomes about how to sell that, and I don't know, like not now that I'm talking about this, I feel like maybe people, back then it was easy for like the, developers or the owners to like, accept this idea. Well, first of all, because, we provided, the extra work and like the drawings
Oh, you didn't get paid for it.
and
Ah, there
there
you
you
go.
go. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
you invested in the vision.
but also like, I think a lot of times it's also like key who that idea is or where the
Mm.
genesis is, and to kind of, present it in a way and work with people. So, it, it's their idea, or it's like something, it's a collaborative process. So, being able to, I don't know, like not,
Well, because
uh,
the reason why I'm asking is
yeah.
it's interesting because you're building buildings or spaces, and you're taking everything and you're thinking outside of the box,
Yes.
to use that word
Yeah.
that you said,
Uh-huh.
right? And you can. I found in doing like with Bermanfalk and doing
Mhm.
custom furniture for guest
Mhm.
rooms, we're working within a box.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I found as you were talking, it made me think
Mhm.
of, okay, so we're doing all the case goods and seating in a room. I'm not changing your design, I'm executing your vision,
Mhm.
right? But oftentimes the model room will be not really have a quote budget per room, right? It's just like, let's get the vision out there. And then we'll go down the path of doing this model room, and then we'll get a real budget number of
Mhm.
what the whole room needs to be for the rollout. And I found that a very interesting question is, and more often than not, I'd say 99% of the time, that budget is smaller than
Mhm.
what was put in the room,
Mhm.
right? Because
Yep.
you want to
Yep.
sell the vision,
Mhm.
right? I'm executing your vision, and you want to see the best
Mhm.
of what you can. But then when we start going through these value exercises, value engineering exercises, I always like to ask all the stakeholders, design most heavily weighted there, is, what's most important to you? And that in the room and then down on each piece of furniture, because that clarifying question, it's amazing
Mhm.
what you find,
Right.
because you'll find, okay, we need to cut 40% out of the overall room budget. So that translates to 40% of what we're doing. And then you might find out it's the drawer pull, or it's the stone,
Mhm.
or it's what's another weird one? Like it's the toe kick, like the material at the toe kick. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the most important thing to you, then we have a lot of room to work with in
Mhm.
all of the other parts of the furniture. And I find that, I don't know, it took me 15 or 20 years
Mhm.
to figure that question
Uh-huh.
out. Um, but it's just saying what's most important, and then you can reprioritize everything around that. But it's working within a box for what I'm doing, trying to exercise kind of, I don't know, make your vision come to life. But for
Right.
you, it's
Right.
also thinking outside of the box. So I don't know, it's just like an interesting relationship
Mhm.
between the two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And I get your point about like, prioritizing, like when you have kind of like the box and, you know, like you're, kind of like forced to work within that, limit. Like you are, yes, you have to prioritize in order to, like make things
Mm.
uh, better. I guess so. That's one. I guess, yeah, like we're typically, asked to do that. But I think as designers, and also like being an architect also gives you that sort of like, bird's eye perspective, or, like you're looking at things not just inside the box, but I don't know, like we're always thinking, like zooming in and out, like having like this perspective here, but also looking at the details and, like you said, what to prioritize, having
Mm.
both of that ability, like gives us that, gives us that, ability, or just that vantage point. Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah.
I want to ask you another question.
Mhm.
I've interviewed people who have won awards before, but I think you're the first person I've ever interviewed, and it wasn't like planned. I don't think I've ever interviewed someone who won an award like 2 days ago. So,
Okay.
right? So that's like really exciting, and I wanna like congratulations again, that's pretty awesome. But you were also among really incredible competition, right?
Mhm.
For Theta and also
Mhm.
for Kagoshima, but Theta's the one that won. What do you think actually, that's pretty cool. So, if you think about Eventi and a Kimpton that's on, 28th or 9th and 6th,
Mhm.
um, where's Theta? It's on
It's in 49th and 50th Street on 8th Avenue.
okay, so it's basically just up a little bit and
Mhm.
a little bit to the west.
Yes.
Um, what do you think attracted the judges of that HD award for public space to you, to Hotel Theta in particular?
Um, yeah, for Theta, I think, it's funny that you mentioned that too, because I think it's more of, what our ability to be able to maximize, kind of like the limitations, and what the box, what's given, as a parameter to in a defined box. Because, yeah, that's a project that, was, it's a full renovation, first of all.
Mhm.
So, like you're already, limited in terms of, um, yeah, like the canvas, the building, yeah, it was actually a building that it was a Hilton Garden Inn, I believe, previously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, and it was
Whereas the Eventi was built brand new,
right. Well, yeah,
right?
before, yeah, we came on board. Yeah, it originally was brand new. Yeah, yeah.
So what do you
Hmm.
think about that reimagining of a Hilton Garden Inn into a boutique Kimpton?
Hmm.
I don't know. Can you say the word boutique anymore? I don't know. I guess it would be whatever. About a really cool boutique, a cool Kimpton hotel and lobby. What do you think what do you think lit the judges up or, like, attracted the judges to that space at I don't know, rather than all of your other competitors who were in the award in the category with you? Like, what
Hmm.
do you think separated in your
Um,
what do you think
mhm,
separated
mhm,
you from the rest of the pack, number 1? And whatever that was it something you captured in your notebook originally?
mhm. Yeah, it's funny. So, yeah, it's a great question. I mean, with these awards, like 100% honest, like you never know, what captures, and with judges, everybody is a human, and what resonates, I don't know, I don't know what, specifically hit the right note. And, especially among, other great, designs, like we always don't know, like what it is, but
Then what did you love about the Theta? And did it was it something in your notebook before you even knew about the project that you drew upon, like a past inspiration? That's actually I'm curious about that as
yeah,
well.
I think that's, that's, this is more specifically, for each project, for each interior design project, like we rely heavily on coming up with concepts, and, we try to mine really, like take a project to mine, the the uniqueness of that project, whether it's, something that's derived from the like context of the neighborhood, or the brand, or the people involved, or something architectural. We try to create stories, and, um, make that, whatever, uh, space we design, special,
Mhm.
yeah. And, I think that's, when we're successful at doing that, it does, send out an aura, it does tend, it does become a space. And the pictures, kind of like tell the story. And, I would like to think that, that's what, caught the judge's eyes. And, yeah, what I like about, the theta, or no, one of the things, maybe I should just like focus on one thing, but is the fact that the original building was designed by, Morris Lapidus. Yeah,
Mm.
the architect, but it wasn't, it wasn't really known for that. It wasn't like one of his like kind of like outlandish, like more kind of like buildings, but then like it had the some of the elements, and some of which we haven't, even like, um, you don't even know because like it's still under construction, like the F&B spaces. But anyway, on the ground floor, there were all these like columns, and um, which the columns were kind of like these massive like columns that were like covered in CMU and so the structure. And we didn't quite know what to do with it because there were like these fins and almost like these like shear walls, and they took up a lot of the space in the lobby. And it was all, plastered over and like painted over the course of years. And the spaces were kind of like disjointed. So, like we came in and we laid out the spaces and we turned those like piers into these curved portals. And yeah, that actually, is something that's very, iconic, and you can really see that in the space. And like we kind of like based the design, based on that, integrating that into the lobby. And yeah.
Do you know what's crazy? Just from an
Mhm.
outside perspective. I saw the photos in the for the award, right? But as I'm talking to you right now and looking at you, I just pulled up the photos and I see the curved columns,
Mhm.
and then I see the screens with the cross hatching,
Mhm.
and I feel like the curves are over your left shoulder, that curve shape,
Right.
and I feel like the hatching texture is the drawing over your right
Okay.
shoulder right there. It's so crazy. I'm looking at the picture and I'm looking at you, and they basically all come together.
Not really. That's so funny.
That's
That's
wild.
funny. That's funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the stuff that you see are like, some of like, sketches from my like the sketchbook that I was talking about too. So
Oh,
maybe
so
it makes
those are
sense.
that's yours behind you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know that. Okay, cool. So, it's coming out from between your 2 ears in this picture, and your teams, obviously, but, like, it's in the picture, and it's on the wall behind
Right,
you.
right.
That's kinda cool. I'm gonna put these photos in there, and then everyone else can be the judge. We can all be judges.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
Well, I'm being a psychiatrist or a psychologist now too.
I
Um,
like that. You should do this more often.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay, so cool. I see the curves,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
really like
yeah.
the crosshatch, um, panels.
Right,
Those wall panels are pretty
right.
awesome.
Yeah. So I should mention, that yes, like looking back, like like I had like sketches that have, like original sketches, like some of you know, that's one of the, contributions of design from a design perspective that like I was able to, infuse in the project, through like a sketch because I have like like earlier like conceptual sketch, yeah. But at the same time, it's really, um, yeah, my my team that really pulls that vision together, and having our um staff, taking that, sketch and then like going through this whole process, is what makes it happen, as well.
So another
Mhm.
thing, kinda actually, I was thinking about you the other day,
Mhm.
or maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. Um, I this that book Shogun is turned into a TV show,
Mhm.
right? So I read the book when I was a kid. I'm reading it again.
Uh-huh.
It's 16th century feudal Japan, and then I'm reading it, and every time they're like hot or thirsty or whatever, they're drinking out of a gourd in the book. And I was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing, June!" Because you at the Radical Innovation event last year, you won for the Gourd project that you were doing, and it's something that nature gives us, gourds,
Mhm.
but and it's something that is very useful. But what was how did you come up with that idea? I know you said earlier you're still working on it,
Mhm.
but what drew you to it? And did that come out of your sketchbook as well?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did kind of come out of a like exactly like a like list of ideas that I had. Um, uh, yeah, I haven't seen the Shogun, but I used I remember the original one.
Oh, but I don't even know if they show it in the show because 'cause I'm not done watching that, but, like, in the book, they were always like, the
Right.
sailor from,
Right.
16 whatever, the English guy, he's like, "Oh, I was so thirsty, and they handed me a gourd," and he was just amazed by, like, something so, natural and readily available could be reimagined such a useful
Okay.
and sustainable product, right? Instead of, like, all of these Stanley
Mhm, mhm.
pressed hydro flask things. Why don't we just reach for a gourd and drink out of a gourd?
Like
And it's
right.
biodegradable.
I want to
Yeah,
know.
like the gourd.
Right.
I wish I had you sent me one and it's in my office and I don't have it on me right now.
Well, we'll have to send you another one. Yeah.
But when you think about the gourd project, if you were to play it out, like
Mhm.
how do you want that to take hold? Or that maybe not even the gourd as a drinking vessel, but just the idea of looking at nature and what it's already giving us and using it.
Right. Yeah. Well, first of all, like, so this is another, it's like a pet project. It's a project that we've been working on for, I don't know, multiple years, like, 7, 8 years to be honest, But yeah, it really came out of like I guess it was from like sketchbook or some of my notes, to try to come up with, you know, a a, a, a container that's like biodegradable and yeah, there was probably more than that note was like put in my notebook probably like a long time before that, like when like we you know we always use plastic cups and like I'm sure I'm not the only person like even like 10 years ago or even way back like people look at those cups and say hey like these things like last so much longer than the actual like the time you use it when you're done with your cup of like iced coffee and like 1 second you just like throw it out then and uh, yeah, so I had something like, like, why is it like that? Like, why can't we come up with, all this like technology, like in the world, a better solution? So, that was, let's just say that was like, 10 or more than 10 years ago, so, there
Wow.
was a time when I found that note and said, okay, let's tackle this issue. And um, and this was, quite a while ago now, like I think there's, there's so much more, development than, research and, development that has been done in that whole, area. But, yeah, it just started with that simple question and trying to, look for, solutions. And, yeah, I remember just like thinking about different ways of, different ways of like, how do you make like a container that's, that you could like throw out, like that with the rest of your, like perishable trash. And, I remember, I had people in our studio like experiment with like, like with like pasta, like trying to make a cup out of pasta, like this was kind of like a, like a
Really?
yeah, creative, like exercise that I like to have people in our studio, do sometimes. And anyway, that led to one of the ideas, which was to, take, yeah, take, that led to, finding or like I knew about this already, but gourds, which is something that's been used, in like many, many different cultures, in the world. And it's really like, it's ready and in abundance. It's easy to grow. And, yeah, people from like Africa to Asia to South America, like historically used it as containers and as like instruments, all kinds of stuff, like, yeah, people still do. So, we said, oh, let's try this one. This is kind of like promising. And then we said, hey, but, like you need to be able to like, form it in a certain shape. So, that's where we got the idea of, creating a custom mold for it to have, gourds grown in it. And that, I think, that idea also, well, that came from like, references to like, um, some of these like Japanese like watermelons that are grown into like squares. So they're like easy to like stack and pack, which is like a very Japanese kind of, thing. But
Totally.
anyway,
The
yeah,
packaging.
packaging, we kind of like combine those two, like the gourd and this like, um, this idea of like putting a mold, shaping something.
So, and it grows into the mold, so it's confined. There's constraint, and then you cut the top of the gourd off and hollow it out.
Yeah, that's what we did.
I'm curious about as far as your team and in the studio, that those kind of creative projects. How many of those are you guys working on at any given moment? Or do you have a goal to try and do one a year, one every couple of years, one a quarter? And then how do you all decide what it is you want to work on? Because that's kind of a cool and fun collaborative R&D that,
Mhm.
again, you're not billing for it, right? But you're kind of, it's a good way to bring everyone together and build community and strengthen community within your office.
True. Yeah. Um, yeah, like we don't really have like a set number, maybe we should, like we should at least try to do one every year, I think. But yeah, we don't we don't do that. And I think it's more less frequent, like I would say, we could do something, maybe like every other year, because it does take, kind of like like a resources, and
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, that's something that we try to continue to do. Like we've done this, so when like right after we started the gourd, we started the bridge project, the timber bridge project, which is, uh, it's,
I don't know about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay. So it's a pedestrian bridge proposal that connects, the Greenpoint neighborhood of Brooklyn and Long Island City in Queens.
Oh, kinda near the Kosciuszko where they did that new kind of traffic bridge, but it doesn't look very welcoming for walking, so this is a way to solve that?
Yeah, well, the Kosciuszko Bridge is, it's part of the Brooklyn BQE, right? But
Mhm.
closer, like further west, there's, near the mouth of Newtown Creek, there's
Yeah, there's like a canal there where some people have some sailboats parked and okay.
that's exactly what we're proposing, the bridge. And this is like a project that we've been working on, and we actually launched it in 2017. And we're working on relaunching that right now. But yeah, there's actually a bridge called the Pulaski Bridge, which is built for cars. And it actually is a drawbridge as well, because there has to be, like boat.
But
The
that
draw,
that
yeah.
one's in New Jersey, right?
No. It's in.
The Pulaski, because there's the Pulaski Skyway, which is like
Right,
a
right. That's the one from Newark. Yeah. No, it's the same name, but yeah, yeah.
okay.
The one is in, Greenpoint in Long Island City. Um,
Wow, all these Polish guys, Kosciuszko and Pulaski. What's going on?
I think, yeah. Well, a lot
They
of
were
yeah,
good
they
they
were
explored up the Hudson, I believe.
right. Well, I think they were, like, generals, or like in the Civil War,
Mhm.
or yes, yeah. I think there's some like
Mm.
yeah, historical significance. And um, but anyway, yeah, and also like in Brooklyn, there's a lot of there's a significant Polish, community. Um, but anyway, so that's like another, project that we, in a way, kicked off ourselves, and it was definitely a sketchbook project that I had, you know,
So wait, you
Mhm.
just said this area needs
Yeah,
a pedestrian bridge, and then you're designing it and concepting it. Did you get any buy-in from the like, how are you what's the next step on that? Are you gonna go sell it, like, quote, "sell it to the city," um,
yeah, that
or
is,
was it
yeah,
part of a
that
co open competition?
no, it wasn't. Like we just kind
Oh,
of like, yeah, started doing it ourselves,
so
and
wait, you have to go to who do you approach with that? It's like, the Department of Transportation of New York City or the Transportation Commission?
yeah, yeah, I mean, this project was more active, and it's kind of an ongoing thing, and we're still working on it. But yes, back in 2017, we approached the EDC, the mayor's office, DOT, MTA. There's a lot of transportation authority. So we did a lot of legwork and try to like talk to people. Yeah, Mayor Adams, who was the borough president back then,
Mm.
liked the idea, like he wrote us a letter. And there was a lot of, developers and neighborhood, like support. And yeah, we were like, I was on a TV show, presenting this one time, and yeah, yeah, we'll send you all the, information. But
Oh my
anyway,
god, I had no idea. How did I miss that? Okay.
it's,
Wait, where are you now? Is it happening?
it's, well, it's we've learned that it takes a lot to like make something like this happen.
Yeah.
But again, I guess it goes back full circle to where we started. Not taking no for an answer and like being persistent, and like following through with your vision.
Wow, but not taking no for an answer with a receptive owner and a brand and a manager is one
Right.
thing. Not taking no for an answer with the city of New York and the bureaucracy of the city of New York is something quite different. And that is amazing. I oh my god, I really wanna learn more about this because that sounds awesome, and that place could use a little love and to
Right.
connect it over that canal in, like, a nice
Yeah.
way. That
Yeah.
that could be transformative for those 2
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I wanna follow up with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
100%. Yeah.
so June, as you're looking out into the future, having just won this
hmm
award and just all the other projects and great team that you've built,
hmm
what's exciting you most about what you're seeing ahead in the future?
Um, well, yeah, I do want to kind of like rate back and just talk and, stress the fact that, that the team is, like that's my, accomplishment, like it's very, it's hard, running a design office, in New York, and where, like it's really, design offices are kind of, you know, in a way like a transient, this like living up, or organism, like people go in and out, then, your scale kind of has to like, go with the ebb and flow of the, the business. But, just, again, like persistence and being there, is like your extension. And these are the people in the group that makes, like the everyday work happen. And also, when you like, make the ideas happen too, so,
Mm,
yeah, I just can't stress how, important and, how much I owe, that to the, the group, but also like, even like past people who went through, our studio, it's just like this thing that's, kind of like
mm,
malleable. And, yeah, that I'm able to kind of, work with, as a generator, and also, realizer of some of these like ideas, and, you know, whether it's like a space or an object or even like these crazy, outlandish ideas,
Mm.
But yeah, what excites me the most is yeah, just kind of like yeah, the idea that our team is also like I feel like we're solidifying and we're able to like do more exciting projects and we're starting to get known for being creatives that bring these bring change to the world and yeah, just the simple fact that you're asking me these questions and I'm able to like share these thoughts with like other people is like fantastic. I'm having ears to like listen to me about, some of these.
It's pretty amazing. And so now I have a question on the team. Like,
Yeah.
let's take the idea of the team, and I love how you said the current and past people who have come through because I'm a big believer
Um,
that we all stand on the shoulders of those before us, right?
mhm.
Every interaction is a source of inspiration, and helps us push forward. If you were to take that team, past, past and current,
Mhm.
what would they say they appreciate the most about you?
About me? Huh.
Yes.
I don't know. Uh, I don't know. I think, well, maybe it's not exactly about me, but, you know, like people who go through our studio, who work in our studio actually say that, we have an amazing group always. And maybe, that maybe I like this think that that's, that, um, that's kind of like a compliment to the fact that I have, you know, the eye or the energy to attract, people that are, that work together well and, have that, kind of like quality.
No, that's a
Yeah.
great answer. To be able to attract really great,
And,
amazing people,
and
which you do have, that's like this that's the secret sauce, right?
right,
It's,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
very special thing.
Yeah.
If you were to take that
Mhm.
idea of the group,
Mhm.
or of the team, past and current,
Mhm.
so what they appreciate you is your ability to attract, right?
Right.
And empower them to do
Right.
whatever they're doing. What's one thing that they
Mhm.
would say that you could improve on?
I don't know. Communication. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, because like I think that's key. And I mean, maybe, like I think I have my own way of, communicating with people and,
Mhm.
you know, uh, everybody has different ways, right? But I do
Yeah.
understand and believe that that's, always the key. That's what ties everybody together. And yeah, yeah, and I think there's always room for improvement. So, like I would put that up high. Yeah, but like I think it's not even just like our studio. Like when I talk about like attracting people and having that energy or having that eye, it's really I think the same could be said for like clients, like or people who work with us, like extended, like yeah, like our industry as a whole, like people who build the project for us, who make stuff, the artists, everybody.
At some point in my entrepreneurial journey,
Mhm.
again, standing on the shoulders of those before us, I don't know what I did. I was talking to someone, Margaret McMahon. I said something in a way that was, I guess, repellent. Like I was like, "Oh, call me back if you want to," something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
But and she picked up the phone and just yelled at me
Okay.
and was like,
Okay.
"You
Okay.
can't say it like that. Like you have to want the people to. You have to be open and attract what's coming to you." And she
Mhm.
sent me this book called The Law of Attraction,
Mhm.
or The Laws of Attraction,
Mhm.
and I devoured it,
Mhm.
and I said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that kind
Mhm.
of saying the thing that I said in like a
Mhm.
funny way. I didn't mean any
Mhm.
harm by it. It was not my intention. But to just reframe how I'm doing at it, like life and business and everything is hard enough, right? To be closed off to it and kind of put up, like when you hold two positively charged or negatively charged magnets up to each other,
Mhm.
like you don't need any of that
Mhm.
friction
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or you don't need any of that repellent energy. And to really create this safe environment where people feel comfortable and can explore their vision and work with you, be inspired with you, they inspire you, and then they may go off and go inspire others. It's being able to look at that and be able to find those people
Mhm.
and impact them in a positive in a way is a real gift. And I don't think it's like a magical power. I
Mhm.
think anyone can do it. We just need to all be aware of how to
Mhm.
do it. There's tools to do it. And there's ways to like working out to flex your muscles to be that way. So
Mhm.
I thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
When you if you go back, I also like asking this question, June.
Mhm.
So you mentioned you went to Pratt.
Mhm. Yes.
If the June I'm talking to now magically appeared in
Mhm.
front of the June studying architecture in the studio all night with cut fingers for making models when you were 19 or 20 or whenever that was,
Mhm.
what advice does the grayer June have for the younger June?
Huh. I just just keep, do what follow your instinct, Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. What do I say? Yeah. Don't get into hospitality. No. No. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a, yeah, fun question.
Cool. I like that. Follow your instincts. Just go. Um, and create. I
Yeah.
think it's also just capture all of your
Yeah.
ideas
Yeah.
as well, because whether it's on paper, on your phone, anywhere, and don't just capture them, but
Mhm.
really look at them,
Mhm.
clarify, review, because they all can turn into something. All these ideas can turn into
Yes.
timber bridges
Yeah. Yeah.
or reimagine footprints of buildings or businesses
Mhm.
or anything. So cool. Well, June, I congratulations again on the award or the multiple awards, the Radical Innovation Award for the Gourd project, and also um, for Hotel Theta in New York. That's awesome, and congratulations. And thank you so much for your time and putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dan. Yeah. This was, such a, fun conversation. We should do it more often.
And also, I'd be remiss if, well, we will do it more
Mhm.
often. We'll do it at one of your restaurants.
Oh,
How about
yeah.
that?
Fantastic. Let's do it.
Um, I just also want to thank all of our listeners because without you, we wouldn't be here talking to really cool people like June, um, and learning from him. And with all of these learnings from all these conversations, I don't know if I mentioned it in the last one, but I started a newsletter, the Friday Five. It's really simple, but it's highlights the current episode that's launching, a past episode. Like there's so many good nuggets from the 150 plus people that we've spoken with. So just cutting right to there. Um, but just please sign up. I'll put the show notes in there. And June, if anyone wanted to learn more about you or CRÈME, where can they find you?
Yeah, at our website or follow us on Instagram. Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
And we'll put that in the show notes as well. So again, thank you, June. Thank you, listeners, and we'll be in touch.